Hi guys, welcome. I'm here as part of the Holistic Healer Collective to do their first virtual class. We had a bit of trouble on Facebook, so now on Instagram. So welcome. Hi. Thank you guys for joining. Today we're going to talk about human design. Our Facebook Live failed, so here we are, but I'm so happy to have you guys here, and it will be around for 24 hours. But just wanted to share a little bit about the system that human design is and how it can support us in really grounding into ourselves, both now and, especially now, but also just in life. So if you guys have any questions, you're welcome to just ask them here because we have about 45 minutes, but I'm going to just go ahead and introduce what human design is. So human design is a system that is based on your exact time, date, and place of birth. And the idea is that it really gives us our kind of energetic operating manual. It helps us understand how we're meant to make decisions, communicate, work within teams, cultivate relationships, literally all the things. And it really kind of just helps us understand how to tap into our most authentic selves. And for context, there are about 2 billion different configurations. So everybody's incredibly unique in human design. And it really both gives us the self-knowledge and the tools to really step into it. Are people here familiar with human design, or is it mostly new to all of you? I see some people I know. Hi, Casey. So I discovered human design about 5 years ago now. And just to give you a little bit of context before we go into the system, but I live in New York City, and I was sitting at a party. Like rising signs, it's a little bit different. So it's actually not astrology. It draws from astrology as well as a bunch of different systems. Projector, cool. But I was sitting at a party on the Lower East Side, and this guy sat next to me and looked at my human design on his phone and just started telling me all the stuff about myself that I so intuitively knew, but really hadn't given myself permission to step into. So I'm a projector as well, and there are 3 pieces he shared that night that just totally shifted the way that I operated. The first piece he shared was that I really wasn't designed to do all the doing. He was like, you're a much better leader and guide and manager than you are a doer. And I had spent so much of my life hustling and trying to make things happen, so that felt like a totally new approach. The second piece he shared was that I wasn't really meant to initiate things, but I was really meant to kind of wait to be invited in and feeling authentically recognized before I engaged. And I had spent so much of my life initiating, so again, it felt like a totally new approach. And the third piece he shared was that I really wasn't designed to make decisions in the moment, but I was really designed to give myself time to really feel into things and get emotionally clear before committing. And so I'd spent so much of my life kind of making decisions very impulsively. So again, just felt like a really new approach. So what I've discovered in human design and my work with people and my work with teams is that it often gives people an extraordinary sense of relief. I feel like we spend a lot of our lives trying to be all the things that we're not, and human design just returns us to exactly who we are. It's often not actually about telling people stuff they don't know. It's really about telling people all the stuff they do know, but they haven't really allowed themselves to fully step into. So those who have maybe explored human design, you might have discovered it's crazy complicated. There's so much information, it's kind of endless. So today in this conversation, I just want to keep it super simple, and I want to really touch on the most important pieces. So we're going to explore how it is we choose and how it is we make decisions, because every day we're making decisions, from choosing to, spend time with the people that you're spending time with, from, the job that you're joining. Sorry, somebody's sending a request to join. Say you're considering starting a new job, how do you know if it's the right fit? Say you're considering leaving a job, how do you know if it's the right thing for you? Say you're considering moving to a new city, how do you know if it's correct for you? Of all the lovers or partners you might have chosen, how do you know if those people are actually right for you? And so I think what human design has taught me is that it's really not what we choose, but it is how we choose. And so when we enter into things in ways that are really aligned with our design, we often experience a lot more flow. And when we enter into things in ways that are misaligned, we experience a whole lot more resistance. So it's really about kind of just finding a bit more flow in our lives. So I know we're at a really unique kind of time in human history where a lot of maybe our traditional worries or concerns are kind of out the window because there's a lot more going on. So again, just I think a very powerful time to just ground into exactly who we are and make sure we're operating in an aligned way. So I would love, hello, greetings from Switzerland. Amazing. So I would love for you guys to reflect before I go through the different types in human design and the different ways of making decisions, to reflect, are there any areas in your life right now where it feels like you're experiencing a little bit more resistance, where it just feels like things are not quite flowing in the way that you'd like them to? It could be around work, it could be around family, it could be around, your living situation or being stuck at home, who knows? But just kind of holding that in mind throughout the conversation today. So, does anybody here know what they are? I saw one projector. If you want to look up your design and you do know your exact time, date, and place of birth, you can go to erinclairejones.com/lookup. There are lots of other sites too. But the thing we're going to be covering today is your type, your strategy, and your authority. So, anyone know their type here, what their human design type is, or their authority? No? Great. Perfect. Okay, so let's start by talking about some of the different types in human design. So like I said, there are about 2 billion different configurations, but at the highest level in human design, there are 5 different types. So there are, cool, we have an emotional generator, hi, manifesting generator, cool. Talia is a generator, manifesting generator, mental projector, oh, hi, Jacqueline, cool. So we have projectors, manifesting generators, reflectors, and manifestors. And so the majority of the population are generators and manifesting generators. So these are the people that really have the energy and the life force to kind of build and create and make things happen. It's, again, kind of a weird time for it, but they're kind of meant to wake up in the morning to kind of, with full of energy to kind of, use their energy in super satisfying ways throughout the day and then crash and wake up recharged. If they haven't fully used their energy, they might go to bed and just feel like restless because they haven't fully exhausted their tank, or even just depleted because they haven't used their energy in a way that feels good. And so I think the key thing for these people to kind of keep in mind during this time is that the more you're using your energy in ways that you really enjoy, basically the more you're like creating energy for everyone around you. And so like perhaps you can't go into an office or even work with people, but again, just like what are books that you can read, projects you can start, communities you can build, just like things that feel like really satisfying uses of your energy, like what Talia is building here, kind of building more virtual classes people can access. So what are things that you can do that feel like a very satisfying use of your energy, and kind of trusting that by doing that, you are lifting up the energy of literally everyone around you. And so the strategy for both generators and manifesting generators in human design is about allowing things to come to them. It's all about magnetism. The more you do what you love, the more it kind of attracts to you. So just kind of really leaning into that in this time, and really just taking inventory. Like, what are the things in your life that feel like the most depleting, the most draining, the most exhausting? And what are the things that feel the most naturally energizing and exciting? And how can you funnel more and more into that? Makes sense, my generators and manifesting generators? We're going to go into projectors. I know we have a few projectors here. So projectors are really here to kind of be the advisors, the leaders, the guides, the teachers. They're really not here to do all the doing. Often their gift is really in the way they see the world and their perspective, and not always in doing all the doing, like I said. And so they really need to honor the ebbs and flows of their energy. The kind of magic for projectors is that they're meant to work like 3 hours a day, which I know is not always feasible for everyone, but it really is about just like, again, leveraging the energy when it's there and really resting when it's not. And so I think in this time especially, it's resting as much as you can. And again, leveraging the inspiration when it's there, but really tuning into like, what do I actually have the energy for, and how can I take rest when it's not there? We have half an hour. Yeah, I mean, we'll just cover as much as we can. It's going to be perfect. I just want to give you guys like a little download. I'll give you a discount code at the end too if you want to go deeper, but we're just giving you a taste. And so I think also with projectors, because you're such natural guides, it's really such a powerful time also to lean into that capacity to guide others. What are people inviting you in to share? Like, how can you really offer and your support and be a guide to others? And for projectors, your strategy is all about waiting to be recognized and invited in. So rather than initiating and chasing after things, paying attention to where you feel the most authentically recognized and invited in to kind of share your magic. Makes sense, my projectors? If not, we're going to go to our manifestors. Hi, for those just joining, we're going through some of the different human design types now, and then we're going to go through some of the different authorities as well. So if anyone's a manifestor, I haven't seen any manifestors here, but manifestors are really the ones that are here to initiate, get things started, make things happen, to kind of make the first move. They're also really not here to do all the doing, but they're here to just kind of get the ball rolling. They often need a lot of freedom and autonomy and control. They're really not here to be told what to do or managed or guided in any way. They're really here to kind of do things on their own terms and in their own way. And even in a time where there's like, I guess, a lot of restriction and just like unknown, again, they kind of just trust their own path, to be so unapologetic in who they are, and trust that by doing that, they're going to really kind of attract the right people to follow their path with them. Within the context of working, for example, these people might really struggle if they're being micromanaged or told what to do in any way, but if they can do things kind of on their own terms and in their own way, it's going to feel a lot better for them. In terms of being a combination, somebody asked if you could be a combination of types. Highest level, you will just be one type. The manifesting generators have some of the manifestor nature in their design as well. but the type is just the first piece. There's so much more, and kind of when you look at your human design, you basically get a much fuller picture. So I'm oversimplifying today because it's like the only way to do it. Definitely not me. Did you resonate with the projector piece? Because I know that you're a projector. And so manifestors are really here to kind of initiate, to make the first move, but also to inform. And what I mean by that is once they've made a decision, is to kind of really reflect on everyone that decision is going to impact and really make sure they're letting them know. And so it's a way to kind of just really allow them to manifest with a whole lot more ease. And then the last type we have are reflectors. And reflectors are about 1% of the population, so much more rare. And so these people, like, they've got such wisdom. And I was just writing a post on this. They've got such powerful wisdom at this time because they really are taking in everything in their environment and kind of mirroring it back and letting us know how it's all going. So we often really get a sense of like what's going on in a community or a company or a team just by how that reflector is showing up. And so reflectors just know that you carry such wisdom. So like pay attention to where that guidance is most invited in and share that wisdom, share what you're seeing, share what you're experiencing, because you probably just are tuned into what's happening on the global level in a way that not a lot of us are. It's just so special what you have. And reflectors are so sensitive to their physical environment. So while you might not have a whole lot of flexibility in choosing your space right now, just making sure your space feels as good as possible. And the other piece I would share with reflectors is just that their identity is always kind of mutating and adapting and changing, and that's their magic. So not try to put yourself into one box, but let yourself be all the things. So we're now going to go into some of the different ways of making decisions. Does anybody have any questions? This is like a little bit harder to engage than our Facebook Live, but I just want to make sure I'm not totally talking over your head right now. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you're just joining, we're talking about the different human design types, the different ways of making decisions, and we're going to go through kind of what we call the different authorities now. And so just to summarize, human design is really a tool to kind of help us understand which opportunities are right for us and how to just move through life in a way that is more authentic and aligned for us. And so, none of us in human design are meant to make decisions based on like creating a pro-con list of like what we think we should do. It's really around tuning into our body and like really knowing what our body's telling us. And we all have different ways of doing it. And so, I'm going to share one story before I go through the different ways of making decisions. So I had a client years ago, his authority was all about his gut response, which we'll talk about in a sec. And it basically meant that he knew in the moment if something was correct for him based on how it felt in his gut. And so he was looking to hire somebody, and this young guy came in and he had no experience, and everyone else on the team was like, we can't hire him, he has no experience, that we just can't create reason for that. And my client was like, we have to, I'm getting the strongest gut response, we must. And so they ended up hiring him, and soon after the company dissolved, but this young guy that he hired basically served as his right hand and apprentice and like helped him in everything he did for the next 3 years, and just like is now one of his best friends in the world. And it's just like one example of so many that our bodies just know things that we cannot conceive with our minds. And I think especially at a time when there's so much uncertainty, I think our minds can take us in so many different directions, and we can probably convince ourselves in or out of basically anything. And so I think kind of tuning into our own inner authority and our own body is such a powerful way to just like ground and know what's actually truly correct for us and not kind of get lost in all the things. Make sense? Okay. So let's talk through some of the different ways of making decisions. So some people are what we call, hi Casey, some people are what we call sacral. And so if you look up your human design, again, if you're just joining and you want to look up your human design, you can go to erinclairejones.com/lookup. And so this is the part called the inner authority. And so for the people that are sacral, it is all about their gut response. Basically, the gut is like a visceral feeling in their belly. It's like an excited buzz in their stomach. It's an uncomfortable knot. It's their body opening up towards something, kind of shutting down. It's a in their voice or And the idea is like that gut response is really their authority, is really their truth. And so these people are kind of meant to trust that gut response in the moment. And if they're not getting a full body gut response, it either just means it is not the right thing or it is not the right time yet. It's so funny because there's so much advice out there like follow your gut, listen to your gut. And the thing is like we don't all have a gut response. I definitely don't. And so these are the people that are really meant to kind of honor that visceral feeling in their belly. One powerful way to really access that gut response is to have people ask them very specific questions. So for example, my partner has a gut authority. So if I ask him where he wants to go to dinner, he's just like, gives me a blank stare. But if I ask him like, do you want to go out or cook at home? Do you want to eat this or this? Giving him options, that kind of allows people to really bypass their mind and get them straight into their gut. So anyone know? Okay, great, gut. And so then there are some people that are emotional, and it basically means that you really need to give yourself time to feel into things. So rather than making a decision in the moment or being super spontaneous, it's about kind of sleeping on things and really just giving yourself time to feel into things before you commit. Because the idea is that you're always riding an emotional wave of highs and lows and highs and lows. And the most important thing is to not make decisions on the high or the low of an emotional wave, but basically wait for this place of just like, you know, not super emotional, but just like calm clarity. And so giving yourself a couple days before you commit can be so powerful for these people. And so you can imagine how useful it is to know the people around you, where someone around you might make decisions at the moment, whereas you might need a little bit more time. So I encourage the emotional time to be emotional people to kind of buy yourself as much time as possible and be patient, knowing that clarity for you comes with time, not in the moment. I'm going to have a sip of my tea and then I'll keep going. Next, I'm going to talk about splenic. I don't know if anyone's splenic here. But splenic is basically all around intuition. And so intuition is a very quiet knowing. It's different than the gut response, which is like a visceral feeling in your belly. Intuition is just like a whisper that you hear, just resonance with something, tingles that you feel. And the idea is that as soon as you get that intuitive knowing, your work is to just act on it. So often, because it's so quiet, these people need practices that help them get super quiet, which I imagine Holistic Healer Collective can help you do. But, you know, it really is practices that, you know, whether it's meditation or walking in nature, or even just spending time alone, this is such a powerful time actually to really connect to your intuition and listen to what it's telling you. You know, and there are two stages to this. One is like tapping into your intuition, and the second is really being courageous enough to act on it and follow it. Then we have people that are self-projected, and these people are meant to just verbally process. They're meant to just talk things out, listen to what they say. The idea is that their truth comes when they give it voice. And so the most important thing they can do is just surround themselves by people that they trust and just let themselves talk. And by doing that, their truth will literally just plop out of their mouth. And so, you know, whether it's coaches or therapists or journaling or voice recording, just like allowing themselves to give their knowing a voice. There are some people that are meant to make decisions based on their, we call it ego or willpower in human design. Basically means they're meant to be like a little bit selfish in a very healthy way in their decision making. So always asking themselves like, you know, will this decision truly take care of me? Like, do I really have the willpower or the fortitude to do this thing? And just knowing that like decisions really need to take care of them because they've got this amazing energy to exert, but they've got to kind of receive something in exchange. And then there's some people where it's all about being in the right environment. And then the last one I'll share. And then if you guys have any questions, let me know. But I think after that, I'll just close. I'll give you guys a discount code and happy to answer any questions you have. And so the last is for reflectors, and reflectors are really kind of designed to give themselves a full month, a full 30 days before they commit to a decision, which is always so wild to me. But every reflector I work with seems to really understand that because they kind of really need to sample a decision from a lot of different angles before they kind of get hit with that sudden knowing that it's truly correct for them. And so even though it might not always be possible to give themselves a full month, my encouragement is to just like for them to surround themselves by people that they really trust, or not by people that they trust, but people that like really don't hurry them or rush them and really give them time to kind of make a decision, because they often need those full 30 days. Like one quick story, I had a client years ago now, or maybe a while ago, and she was just curious about what to do with her career. And she met this photographer and she got so consumed with his excitement for his career that she was like, oh my God, I want to be a photographer. This is my career. I'm all in. And so she ended up doing it. And then 3 weeks later was like, I'm good. I'm done. This is actually not my thing. And so she kind of needed that time to really sample it and confirm it wasn't the correct thing for her. So just to wrap it up, and if you guys do have questions, just type them in below. But, you know, human design is really a system of just understanding ourselves, of just understanding how we're designed to operate, how we're designed to make decisions, how we're designed to work within teams, literally all the things. And like I said at the beginning, it's not about telling us stuff we don't know. It's really about telling us all the stuff that we do know, but haven't really allowed ourselves permission to step into. And I think what drew me to human design and why I think it's especially potent at this time is that I think for so long, we've really been looking for authority outside of ourselves in terms of teachers and guides and gurus. And while that's like so important in terms of actually making decisions for ourselves, human design really helps us each kind of tap into our own inner authority in a way that is consistent and reliable for us every single time. You know, whether it's our gut, whether it's our voice, whether it's our ego, whether it's our emotions. And so just kind of really leaning into that as much as we can, especially at a time where there's so much uncertainty and so much unknown. To kind of really ground into our own power and our own selves, I think is one of the best things we can do. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys want to dive deeper, I'm Erin Claire Jones everywhere. one of my offerings is something called the Blueprint, which is like a 30-page PDF that I put together on your unique design. So I set up a discount code HOLISTIC if you guys want to get your blueprint and kind of spend this time diving into just your unique operating system and how you want to work. Do you guys have any questions? I hope this was helpful. Usually I like talk back with people, so I'm just keeping it a little bit shorter because I know I've just been talking at you guys the whole time. But I hope this was useful. So lovely to connect with you all, and I hope you guys are all safe and protected wherever you are. I'm going to sign out.